Is this a socialist handout?
There's a giant money laundering scam.
It's a bad idea. I'll tell you why.
Trump accounts will be the first, I guess you could say, real trust funds for every American child, allowing family members, employers, corporations, generous donors to contribute money that will be invested and grow over the course of a child's life to be used for their benefit after they turn 18. But these accounts will track the overall stock market and will be 100% private property controlled by the child's guardians. In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account. Now, that's the equivalent of $6.25 billion. These gifts will be available to the first 25 million children aged 10 and under the zip codes where their median income is $150,000 or less.
What would you have done with, let's just say, 10 grand at 18? You'd have stimulated the economy. I think we all would have. The likelihood of an 18-year-old actually putting that money to work for them is slim to none. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is happening, and we're going to see more of this. Like, there's a big debate now between, Trump brought it up. And notice the Democrats have not really pushed back hard against the idea of dramatically reducing the income tax. Why is that? Because the income tax is going away. When you look at the amount of jobs that are going to be impacted by AI, there are going to be fewer people paying income taxes. So look for the Supreme Court to sign off on Trump's tariffs, because that's going to be the way America creates income. If you got fewer people working, and that's going to slow down too, because you're going to have fewer people globally purchasing. The other thing is the entitlement programs, Social Security chief among them. That's already broke. So logic, when you get your check at the end of the week, you see that deduction for Social Security. That's not going into any account for you. That's going to pay current recipients of the benefit, right?
Yep.
That is going away too. The Congressional Budget Office has said it's insolvent now, really, but they have said mid 2030. So this, whatever you want to call it, baby bond thing, that's the new Social Security, basically. But they stopped short of really making it that, because for some strange reason, they're making it available to 18-year-olds. So it's going to turn into an economic stimulus program 18 years from now.
I was fooled by those words too. For years, without even realizing it, I was helping the bad guys. Yeah, the same global conglomerates that bankroll chaos, push woke nonsense, and fund movements that despise God, family, and freedom. 97% of what we buy, toothpaste, dish soap, vitamins, even snacks, is owned by the same handful of multinational corporations. They don't share our values, they exploit them. Most of their stuff is made overseas, laced with toxins, and sold back to us under the label of progress. That's not capitalism, that's communist goal number 32. Centralized control over culture, welfare, and daily life. They already control education. They control the media. Now they want your shopping cart. If we keep buying their products, we're handing them the keys. Shame isn't the problem. Apathy is. Shame is what snaps you out of it. It's what makes a man take responsibility again. That's why I stopped feeding the machine. I switched my home to family-owned, American-made, non-toxic products that actually care about the people they serve. And now you can too. Go to switchwithlogic.com and take your dollars back from the system that's poisoning our homes and our freedom. Because shame should lead to change. And this one feels good. What behavior does this incentivize?
With my vote, they'll be toasters, so the worst behavior. But I'm going to pretend like I'm you for 10 seconds, and I'll pretend like there's hope that they don't totally botch it. But again, I think you're missing another part of this. There's a giant money laundering scam. For me, I see this as the corporations trying to figure out how they fight back in the public sphere, because they're privately funding these things. This is an avenue for private, mega rich people to turn giant chunks of money, which to them is in the bracket of donation level money, right? Because these guys can afford to give $1 billion, $100 million, $2 billion. Because this first guy gives a big chunk, but once it's funded the first time, then you can have many little chunks to keep it funding. And it's just going to become a way that they're going to incentivize the rich to fund the poor so that they can show that capitalism, because it becomes a coin, if it works, in a generation, you have a cornerstone program where all these kids are about to grow up and inherited these funded things that if the market stayed strong, maybe they have $20,000, $30,000 sitting there from something that was given to them by the rich, right? And it changes the perception that the rich are these evil that don't care, right? Like that. Again, I'm not saying that it's going to accomplish, but it's a multifaceted approach that Trump's circle came up with clearly to try and shift the narrative, to create a marketing ploy on top of everything else. I see the marketing ploy in it. It's
But let me
private funded.
are there going to be regular investments made during the course of the 18 years? Or are they just going to
it adjusts? It's a fund.
right. What I'm saying is, okay, so each child gets $250 under what he just said,
Right.
$250.
Right.
So
Well, it's supposed to start with 1,000, and Michael Dell just added 250.
Yeah, added
per child.
So is there, to your knowledge, is there any provision for like a monthly or semi-annual contribution? Are the parents expected to maybe chip in? Because really, I mean, you could put it in the S&P 500 and let's be conservative and say 8% the whole way through. And with $1,000 initial investment, let's say $1,250 with Dell's, that's not a lot at the end of the day.
But I mean, that is the aim, because he did say these accounts go to their parent or guardian for the child when they turn
over how
18.
it's invested. Yeah.
But as far as
Okay,
decisions
so-
over how it's invested, I'm not sure about the ins and outs of that part.
And it's supposed to be a growing, like he alludes to, what I've heard, is that it's supposed to be adapting to the market, right? It's supposed to be this thing that they use to invest for it's targeting maximum growth, right? Like
right, and that's fine. But is there a regular contribution made?
So it's voluntary contributions from corporations and from other entities.
That's what I'm saying. It can be funded. All these kids, right? Like let's say they open 25 million accounts today, right? Now all these kids are 9. At 9, Amazon decides to drop 10 billion into whatever that bucket is. Then everybody's account is supposed to be, it's not just supposed to fund the next round. It's supposed to be dispersed amongst all the accounts in the fund, right? Like at least that's what they're trying to make you think. What it is, we'll see when they give us pen and paper of it, like, but the whole idea is that this is supposed to continuously grow in liquidity. It's supposed to target rapid maximum growth for these kids over 18 years so that they actually have money there.
So Sir L. Sid says parents can invest $5,000 a year in it.
Okay.
We'll see how that.
Okay. What are the tax implications? Is the I guess it'll be taxed at regular income rates when the child turns 18, I suppose.
Now, CT, I want to ask you a different question here pertaining to this, because one of the stipulations in this, though, was that children in certain zip codes would be receiving this benefit, and the zip codes were less than, if there's a median income in that zip code of less than $150,000 a year. Now, would this incentivize some, maybe more wealthy people to kind of either gentrify other areas, moving into, less rich areas and pricing other people out? Will this incentivize that type of behavior?
Of course it would. I mean, wouldn't you do that if you were wealthy?
I mean, it depends. I mean, I personally, I wouldn't be moving back to Baltimore City.
But what if you could move back in, and you knew that it would be on an upward trajectory?
I mean, I think that's an economic decision at that point. Yeah. Whether if I can,
it benefits you.
Yeah, it benefit me.
Yeah, I would do it. And you had other people with you who would do it.
I mean, I just thought, because I'm just trying to think through what type of behavior does this incentivize to? Does it incentivize the creation of more families? Does it incentivize more dependency upon the government? I mean, and I think this may be one of those things that where it's a good idea in the classroom, in the boardroom. We talk about that, soldiers.
Yeah.
But then in practicality, what does this actually enable?
Well, I mean, I'm a greedy capitalist, man. I look at things from a very, very Ferengi mindset. I mean, I think gentrification is good. I think that the people there haven't taken the opportunity to make an environment better, and the government and gave you the wealthy person the opportunity to come in there and gentrify the community. Then have at it. I'm just a very simple guy when it comes to these things, man.
Mm-hmm. Also, don't discount, and you kind of alluded to this logic, is a lot of the countries are doing different programs to incentivize birth rates. Yeah. Because I personally, we talked about this on the stream earlier, so it's a finance stream, but I personally believe, and I'd be interested to see what Gimpy and CT think about this. I think we've reached peak humanity population wise. I think that 8 billion was the high watermark And now we elaborate on the reasons for this. You don't need to have as many kids for labor purposes. I mean, it's
Right.
expensive. Okay, you got abortion, women's lib, a whole lot of factors, right? But at the end of the day, you're seeing different countries like China. They've got some economic incentives to come
Yeah.
out and have kids, but they also just instituted a hell of a tax on condoms. So
So they're trying to get the birth rates up.
everybody's trying to get the birth rates up. Yeah, because if you look at it from the aggregate, birth rates in the species have been trending downward. It's like we hit a peak and then we've been trending downward.
So shout out to Trap Music. He's been responding all night. Creating artificial markets never work. I believe in free markets. Does this create an artificial market?
But but wait a minute, aren't all markets artificial in the first place? I mean, other than when you get with a central, wait a minute, other than the barter system, aren't all markets artificial?
That's not what they mean.
What do they mean?
They mean by creating a market where there's no demand for one to stimulate an actual demand, right? It's not like they're inventing a product that hasn't existed before. That's why there's no demand. They're trying to artificially generate a demand by doing something. That's an artificial market.
Okay, so
like they have to introduce a reason for that demand other than they just want demand. They're creating a market to generate.
okay. So, for example, if the government created, if they were able to, this is sci-fi shit, but if the government was able to make it rain, right?
And then they would charge people.
They would charge for umbrellas.
Yeah.
That's an art. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an extreme example that I. Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. So that would be an artificial market. Okay.
They don't mean it the way you're saying it. The way you're saying it discounts that there's an innovation that triggers that demand, right? They're trying to create it without innovation.
Got it.
All right, so we'll see how this turns out. This plays out. I mean, it is part of the one big beautiful bill with this Trump accounts, and now you see the first private company investing in it, 6.25 billion. And I think when you put 6.25 billion in perspective, you hear progressives always talking about, well, why don't we just get rid of the billionaires, or billionaires donate all their money to everyone? You see, just talking about children, 10 million children, 6.25 billion amounts to $250
Right.
per child. So
That $250. Oh, look, again, over 18 years that they wouldn't have had to start with in the first place. That's funded by a private entity. Right now, imagine it becomes a trend, be it by all these companies through some sort of tax sheltering incentive that they're going to get ultimately out of it to fund this thing. And kids are being given free college, not on the public dollar.
No, look, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. If they want to be generous like that, that's good. I just, again, my biggest issue with it, and again, I really think that it's being set up to be a replacement for Social Security. But how does that work? Well, easy. If you start out, remember these guys. If you do roughly 8%, why 8%? Because the S&P has historically returned between 8 and 10% on average annually. All right, so you take 8%, take 1,250. You put roughly $1 in every year after that. You're coming out at the end of the 18 years at about $5,000. Okay, at the 8%. All right, cool. Not a lot, but more than we started out with when we started in the work world. So now, if you can get that $5,000 in play and start to make regular contributions as an adult and get it going over the course of 30 years, all right, the average career. Then maybe at the end of that, you come out looking really, really good. We simply cannot look, we're broke. Okay. So in terms of Social Security, there has to be an answer to, if we're going to keep this quasi-socialist system going, the Social Security Administration, then we have to think outside the box. Now, Bush tried it back when he was president. He came up with, why don't we do the, private accounts? Okay. Quashed. Why? Because again, the money you pay into Social Security right now is not going to you. All right. And they've raided that fund so many times for all kinds of purposes. It's a big Ponzi scheme. That's exactly what it is. So there has to be something, or there has to be nothing. And we just don't have a system whereby older people get this federal subsidy. It's just up to whatever it is you can do with your 401k, insurance policies, and IRA. And how many people are financially savvy enough to make regular contributions to those plans? So the inverse is what you're looking at is a whole lot of homeless ass people at the age of 65 and beyond.
So yeah, like I said, we'll see how this plays out. To me, I do see it kind of as a socialist handout. I don't think it will incentivize the best behavior, but those that will take advantage of it, and those that won't will miss the opportunity, just like with anything else. But overall, I do think it's not sending the right message. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe to the Just the Guys podcast. Remember, we go live on Saturdays at 6:30, and we'll release our condensed podcast version the following Wednesday.